Mr. Phillips, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairwoman Castor, Mr. Griffith, and members of the committee. Climate change is an existential threat to the health, national security, economic prosperity, and future of the American people and our planet. Indeed, our habitat is at stake. Humankind's ability to survive, let alone thrive, on a dramatically changing planet is very much in question. The Fourth National Climate Assessment and the 2018 Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the IPCC, have illustrated an urgent and very inconvenient truth, and that is that we are running out of time. The IPCC 2018 report found that even a 1.5 degree Celsius increase would have a disastrous effect on our habitat. To do our part in preventing the most drastic impacts of climate change and to stay below that 1.5 degree threshold, the United States must achieve the goals committed to in the Paris Climate Accords and attain net zero emissions by 2050 at the latest. Limiting warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius is still possible, and it's a call to action that we must heed with seriousness. We've already seen the impacts of climate change in my home state of Minnesota. The Great Lakes region is warming faster than most regions in the United States. A lack of action will result in growing numbers of people exposed to water scarcity, extreme heat, and displacement from sea level rise and severe weather events. The costs are rising and the science is clear. We cannot let the enormity of the issue overwhelm us. We must start addressing the problem immediately. That's why I'm a member of the New Dems Climate Task Force, as referenced by my colleague from Virginia, Mr. Beyer. Our goal is to put forth an ambitious pro-climate and pro-market agenda that leverages every decarbonization solution available to advance a swift and just transition to a clean economy. We need to be focused on solutions to the climate crisis. One of those I find most promising is carbon pricing. I'm in support of H.R. 763, the Energy Innovation and Carbon Dividend Act, a bipartisan bill with Republican roots, which puts a fee on fossil fuels like coal, oil, and gas. Climate change has a price, and this legislation ensures that big polluters are the ones paying for it. By starting low and growing over time, it will drive down carbon pollution by incentivizing energy companies, industries, and consumers to move towards cleaner, renewable options. The rate begins at $15 per ton in the first year and increases by $10 per ton each year, and is subject to further adjustments based on the progress in meeting specified emissions reduction targets. Best of all, it's completely revenue neutral. The money collected from the carbon fee is allocated in equal shares every month to American taxpayers to spend as they see fit. Program costs are paid for from the fees collected. In this legislation, the government does not keep any of the money from the carbon fee. Returning revenue from carbon fees directly to people as carbon dividends, which is payments to every person, would transform carbon pricing from a regressive policy into a progressive one. This policy is all about incentivizing the change which many, including myself, find to be the most effective way to realize our climate goals. The price signals motivate consumers, businesses, and governments alike to invest in renewables and energy efficiency. And carbon dividends would yield a net increase in income for everyone whose carbon footprint is smaller than average. People with larger carbon footprints pull up that average and would pay more in higher fuel expenditures than they would get back in dividends, while the majority of households, including the most low-income and middle-class families in America, would come out ahead. In addition, a clean energy transition will need smart regulations and public investments, as well as aggressive emission limits. Carbon pricing is not the only answer to the climate crisis, but it is one of the most effective tools to meeting the goals of the IPCC. There are many common-sense environmental policies that we can and should pursue. However, it is true with climate issues, as it is with every other important policy issue that we consider in this body, that in order to begin making meaningful change, we must reform our government. Too many wealthy special interests have far too much influence and control over climate policy. It is time to end the corrupting influence of special interest money in the halls of Congress and do what is right for our planet, for our children, and for our future. When it comes to our climate, environment, and habitat, we are living in an era of great opportunity and great consequence. The time to act, the time to lead is now. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Phillips. Thank you for your recommendations for action to the committee.